What happens if the Bangladesh Nationalist Party leads the next government, and what would that mean for everyday life in Bangladesh? Picture the streets of Dhaka in July 2024. Chants, crowds, and a question: how did we get here? In the next 10 minutes, we'll explain the results, likely scenarios with BNP in power, why the July Revolution of 2024 matters, and how Bangladesh's elections actually work. First, we'll look at the headline result and what it means for the country. The Bangladesh Nationalist Party, or BNP, secured a decisive victory in early counts. Reports show it won 127 of 165 confirmed seats and leads in many more. Put simply, you need 151 seats for a majority in the Jaya Sangsad. Early projections put BNP well above that threshold. Tariq Rahman, the 60-year-old son of Ziaur Rahman and Khaleda Zia, won multiple constituencies, including Dhaka 17 and Bogra 6, according to reports. Rahman's return from exile in late 2025 is symbolic. He may become prime minister, but political realities will shape how quickly that happens. Next, to understand these results, we need to go back to July 2024, the protests that changed everything. The July Revolution of 2024 toppled a government that had ruled for 15 years. Young people, especially Gen Z, were a driving force in those protests. Protesters demanded change, accountability, and a reset of the political order. That momentum carried into the 2026 election cycle. After the upheaval, an interim administration led by Chief Advisor Muhammad Yunus managed the transition and organized this election. Yunus described the vote as a birth of a new nation. That framing raised expectations for a clean, credible election. That context matters because this election is not just about seats, it's about legitimacy and public trust after a major uprising. But here's where it gets interesting. The BNP didn't run alone. It contested most seats and worked with smaller partners. The BNP contested 292 of the 300 seats. That was a clear strategy to maximize its parliamentary reach and form a stable government. Winning a large share of seats gives BNP a mandate, but a mandate brings responsibility to deliver on urgent promises. In practical terms, a strong majority lets a government pass laws more easily. It also raises expectations from voters, especially young ones. At the same time, big majorities can concentrate power. That's why institutions and checks remain important to watch. Next, the role of Jamaat-e-Islami and what their presence in parliament could mean. Jamaat-e-Islami won roughly 30 to 34 seats in early counts, making it one of the larger opposition blocs by seat count. Jamaat carries historical baggage. It was banned under the previous government because of its controversial role in 1971, critics note. Supporters argue Jamaat represents conservative values. Critics remain concerned about its record and public policy aims. After the 2024 uprising, Jamaat gained some ground, but its final seat count suggests it did not become a dominant force. In practical terms, Jamaat in parliament could influence specific debates, but public scrutiny and legal constraints may limit its impact. Now let's zoom out for a moment and explain how Bangladesh's electoral system actually works. The Jatiya Sangsad has 300 directly elected seats. A party or coalition needs 151 seats to form a simple majority government. Elections use single-member districts and a first-past-the-post system. Whoever gets the most votes in a district wins that seat. Parties often form alliances, share seats, and coordinate candidates to improve their overall team score. On polling day, stations open early and close in the afternoon. Votes are counted locally, and results roll in over hours or days. Quick question for you. What changes are you most worried or hopeful about under the new government? Drop one line below. Thoughtful replies may be featured next time. The Election Commission manages the process and releases official results. Interim administrations may be used to ensure an orderly transfer of power. Observers, domestic and international, usually monitor elections. Assessments can vary, and reports often shape post-election debates. Now, what could a BNP-led government focus on first? Let's break that down step by step. Economic reform and job creation are likely top priorities. The public and investors will watch policy signals closely. Public service delivery, like healthcare, education, and infrastructure, could see renewed attention given popular expectations after the uprising. On justice and accountability, some past prosecutions may be revisited. Supporters welcome review, critics warn against politicized processes. On foreign relations, the new government may recalibrate ties with neighbors. Changes may be cautious rather than sudden, analysts suggest. Media freedom and civil society space will be areas to watch. Independent voices matter for public trust in any democracy. In practical terms for you, policy shifts could affect taxes, jobs, university life, and how public services work in your area. At the same time, delivering on promises is hard. Economic constraints and global pressures often limit immediate changes. A BNP majority gives political room to act, but institutional checks, courts, legislature, and the election commission remain important safeguards. Civil dialogue, an active opposition, and a free press can help prevent overreach and reduce polarization, experts note. Fast forward to the first months. Expect negotiations over cabinet posts, committee chairs, and legislative priorities. If BNP holds a supermajority, major legal changes become possible, but political costs and public scrutiny may discourage extreme moves. Here's a quick example. Changing election laws would be technically feasible, but doing so without broad consent could spark protests or international concern. Keep in mind, reconciliation after the 2024 uprising matters. How leaders manage that process will shape social cohesion. Risks include rushed reforms, politicized courts, or alienating key groups. Benefits could include fresh energy, reform, and renewed focus on jobs. Public expectations are high. If the new government delivers practical improvements, trust could grow. If it fails, frustration could return to the streets. So what does this mean for the diaspora and expats? You'll likely see close attention to economic policy, consular services, and travel rules. Diaspora voting and influence vary, but opinions abroad can shape international coverage and investor confidence back home. Next, looking ahead, what are realistic benchmarks to judge the new government in its first year? Look for measurable progress on jobs, inflation, public services, and transparent appointments to institutions. Those are concrete signs of performance. Also watch how the government handles dissent, media freedom, and independent oversight bodies. Those decisions shape long-term stability. To sum up, this is a historic election after the July Revolution of 2024. BNP's victory gives it a strong mandate, and Tariq Rahman's return is symbolic. Jamaat-e-Islam is present but limited in seats. The election process shows Bangladesh's commitment to democratic transfer, even amid big challenges. If you found this useful, subscribe for balanced explainers and check the description for sources. Share a respectful view below, and watch for follow-ups as events unfold.